All right, so let's dive into something kind of fascinating and maybe even a little unnerving. Artificial intelligence. I think we've all seen those sci-fi movies where robots decide, like humans are done, we're taking over, Terminator, Matrix. It's a
Yeah,
pretty common fear, right?
definitely.
But instead of focusing on that Hollywood version of AI taking over the world, we're going to look at how human behavior is actually shaping the risks of AI
Wow.
right now.
That's a really great point. Because the idea that the machines themselves are the problem is a little bit of a distraction. The real issue is how people are choosing to use this technology.
So for this deep dive, our mission is to really understand how humans are already misusing AI and what that means for all of us. So to kick things off, I think we should take a quick trip back in time. The concept of AI is not exactly new, is it?
No, not at all.
It's been around since like the 1940s.
That's right. And despite decades of development, we haven't seen a robot uprising just yet. But we do have some incredibly useful AI applications in our everyday lives, though.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
think about those smart thermostats that learn your temperature preferences, or even those personalized recommendations that you get on streaming services.
That's true. It seems like there's a little bit of a disconnect between those everyday AI experiences and then all of the fear-driven narratives that we hear so much. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think part of it is that those dramatic narratives are so captivating.
Yeah.
Killer robots make for a great story, but when you really look at the real threats, it's less about AI turning against us and more about humans using AI for harmful purposes.
Okay, so let's talk about those real threats. You mentioned humans misusing AI. What does that actually look like in practice?
Well, one alarming statistic is that over 60% of AI misuse cases involve intentional weaponization of the technology.
Wow.
This isn't AI spontaneously going rogue. It's people deliberately exploiting AI for things like scams, hacking, other malicious activities.
That's a pretty stark number.
Yeah.
Are there any real-world examples of this intentional misuse that come to mind?
A classic example is Microsoft's Tay chatbot experiment. They released this AI chatbot online, and within 24 hours, it had completely gone from being a friendly conversational bot to spewing hateful and offensive content.
Yeah, I vaguely remember hearing about that. What happened there? Did the AI malfunction?
Not exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The problem wasn't a flaw in the AI itself. People intentionally flooded the system with toxic language and essentially teaching it to be racist and abusive.
Wow. So it's like the AI was learning from the worst of human behavior
Yeah.
and then mirroring it right back.
Exactly. It's a potent example of how quickly AI can learn and how crucial it is to consider the data it's trained on. If we keep feeding it the worst of ourselves, that's what it's going to learn to replicate.
So the data is really the key here. What are some specific areas where this human-driven AI misuse is playing out in a way that actually impacts people's lives? I'm guessing deepfakes are a big one.
You're absolutely right. Deep fakes, those incredibly realistic fake videos that are becoming increasingly difficult to detect, are being used for everything from scams and blackmail to creating non-consensual explicit content.
Yeah, I've seen some of those deepfakes. They can be incredibly convincing.
Yeah.
It's really unsettling to think about.
And the financial cost of deepfake scams alone was estimated to be over $10 billion in 2024. And to be clear, this isn't the AI independently choosing to clone voices or create fake videos for financial gain. It's humans behind the technology,
Yeah.
driven by greed and malicious intent.
It's pretty sobering to think about human nature being amplified and exploited through AI. Are there any other areas where we're seeing this kind of concerning misuse?
Another area with huge ethical implications is the use of AI in warfare. We're seeing the development of autonomous drones, essentially robotic weapons, capable of making life or death decisions without any human intervention.
I have to admit, that sounds a bit like something out of a science fiction movie, but this is actually happening now.
It is. And it raises significant questions about accountability. When an AI-powered weapon makes a mistake, who's to blame? The programmer, the military commander? Or do we simply say, the machine did it?
It's a really disturbing thought. It's hard to feel comfortable with the idea of a machine deciding who lives or dies on a battlefield.
Absolutely.
It seems like there's a lot of potential for things to go wrong.
And it circles back to the point that the technology itself isn't inherently good or evil. It's a tool. And it's how we choose to use that tool that determines the outcome.
Okay, so we've talked about deepfakes and AI in warfare. What about something that hits a little closer to home for a lot of people? Algorithmic bias. That seems to be getting a lot of attention lately.
It's an incredibly important issue. AI systems are being used in all sorts of areas that directly impact people's lives. Hiring practices, loan applications, even the criminal justice system.
And the concern is that these systems can perpetuate and even amplify existing biases that we see in society.
Exactly. We're seeing cases where algorithms used in hiring are showing bias against women or people of color. And in law enforcement, there have been instances where AI systems used for risk assessment have unfairly targeted certain demographics.
So it's like these algorithms are learning from historical data that already contains biases and then applying those biases in ways that can have real-world consequences for individuals.
That's the danger. It raises a very important question. When an algorithm makes a biased decision, who do we hold accountable? The AI itself, or the humans who designed it, trained it on biased data, and ultimately deployed it in a way that impacts people's lives?
It's a complicated issue, and it seems like we're still figuring out how to navigate these challenges. But before we get too deep into that, let's take a quick pause, and when we come back, we'll delve further into these ethical considerations surrounding AI and explore what a more responsible future with this technology might look like.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about some pretty heavy stuff. You know how human biases are finding their way into AI systems, even when it comes to things like loan applications and hiring.
Yeah, for sure.
But, it's not all doom and gloom, right?
Right. It's easy to get caught up in all the negative headlines, but it's important to remember that AI also has the potential for incredible good in the world.
Absolutely. We're already seeing it being used in healthcare to improve diagnoses, to develop sustainable energy solutions, and even to create more personalized learning experiences for students.
So the real challenge is figuring out how to harness this power for good while also putting safeguards in place to prevent those kinds of misuse we were just talking about.
Exactly. And that brings us to the big question. How do we as a society navigate this complex landscape and ensure that AI is used responsibly?
Yeah. Where do we even begin? It feels like such a massive, multifaceted challenge.
It is. But I think a good starting point is education. The more people understand about AI, how it works, its limitations, its potential benefits and risks, the better equipped we'll be to make informed decisions about its development and use.
So demystifying AI, taking it out of the realm of science fiction, and making it accessible to everyone. But how do we actually do that? It's a pretty complex technology.
Yeah, it really is. It's about moving beyond the hype and the fear-mongering and having open, honest conversations about the real-world implications of this technology. And that includes having some difficult conversations about ethics.
Ethics. So talking about where we draw the line with AI. What are the acceptable uses? What are the unacceptable uses? And who gets to decide?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like we're writing the rule book for a whole new era of human existence, one where AI plays an increasingly significant role, and it's not a task we can afford to take lightly.
So let's talk about some practical steps that we can actually take to try to steer AI in a more ethical direction. We've already mentioned regulation, but what else can be done?
One area that's gaining traction is the idea of AI ethics boards or committees. These are groups of experts from a variety of fields: computer science, philosophy, law, the social sciences, who can provide guidance on the ethical development and deployment of AI systems.
So it sounds like a way to bring diverse perspectives to the table and make sure we're considering all angles.
That's the idea. Because AI is such a powerful technology, it's crucial that we don't leave its development solely in the hands of tech companies or governments. We need independent voices, ethical watchdogs, to help keep everyone accountable.
Making sure that AI serves humanity, not the other way around. I like that. What about transparency? It seems like there's a lot happening behind closed doors when it comes to AI development.
Transparency is absolutely essential. Right now, a lot of the development and decision-making around AI happens in, bit of a black box. We need more transparency about how these systems are built, what data they're trained on, and how they're making decisions.
So lifting the veil and allowing for more public scrutiny.
Exactly. When we have greater transparency, we can hold developers and companies accountable for their choices. We can identify biases in the data, call out potential harms, and advocate for better, more ethical solutions.
It's about giving more power to individuals and communities. So it's not just a select few making all the decisions about how this technology impacts our lives.
That's the goal. Empowering people to shape the future of AI in a way that benefits all of us.
Okay, that all sounds good in theory, but what does that actually look like in practice? What can individuals actually do to make a difference in this space?
Well, we can start by becoming more informed about AI. Read articles, listen to podcasts like this one, engage in discussions online and in your communities. The more we understand about this technology, the better prepared we'll be to advocate for its responsible use.
So being informed citizens, not just passive consumers of technology. What else?
We can support organizations and initiatives that are working to promote AI ethics and responsible innovation. There are many groups out there doing fantastic work in this space, raising awareness and pushing for change. You can volunteer your time, donate to their cause, or simply spread the word about their work.
And we shouldn't underestimate the power of our voices. If you see something that concerns you, speak up. Raise those concerns with the companies developing these technologies, with your elected officials, with anyone who has the power to make a difference.
Absolutely. It's about making our voices heard and ensuring that AI is developed and used in a way that serves our collective interests, not just the interests of a select few. It's going to take a multifaceted approach to ensure that AI is used ethically and responsibly.
So we've got to be thoughtful about the data that's used to train AI, demand transparency from developers, hold those in power accountable, and empower individuals to get involved and shape the future of this technology.
It's a tall order, but it's a challenge we have to rise to. The stakes are simply too high to ignore.
I agree. And I hope this deep dive has encouraged you to think critically about your own relationship with AI and the role it plays in our world.
Thanks for listening and for joining us on this exploration.
Yeah, it can feel kind of overwhelming. Like, where do we even begin when it comes to shaping the future of AI? You mentioned that we can do things on an individual level, though, right?
Absolutely. I think it really starts with just being mindful of our own interactions with AI. We need to be aware of, those potential biases in algorithms, the risks of deepfakes, and the importance of critical thinking as we navigate the digital age.
So we can all play a role in being more informed consumers and responsible users of this technology.
Exactly. You can also choose to support companies and organizations that prioritize ethical AI development. And don't underestimate the power of advocating for policies that promote transparency and accountability from developers and governments alike.
So it's about, using our voices and even our purchasing power to try to incentivize ethical behavior from those who are actually creating and using AI. So it's not just about individual actions, but also pushing for systemic change.
Exactly. And when it comes to that systemic change, I think comprehensive regulation is key. We need clear guidelines for AI development and use that protect individual rights and prevent harm, while also ensuring that AI serves the common good.
Yeah, so what would that kind of regulation look like?
Well, it's a complex challenge, but it would involve setting standards for data quality and transparency, establishing mechanisms for accountability, and creating pathways for addressing concerns and potential harms. And, crucially, it needs to be adaptable, able to keep pace with this, rapid evolution of technology. It's not a one-time fix, but an ongoing process of assessment and adjustment.
It almost sounds like what we need is a global conversation about AI ethics, like a shared understanding of the values and principles that should guide its development, regardless of where it's happening in the world.
I think that's a fantastic point. AI is a global technology, and its impact will be felt worldwide. We need a framework that transcends national borders and addresses the universal implications of this technology.
It's a tall order, but it feels essential if we really want to harness the power of AI for the benefit of all humankind, not just a select few. Do you think we're up to the challenge?
I'm optimistic. I think we've overcome immense technological hurdles in the past, and I believe we can do so again with AI. It's a matter of recognizing the risks, engaging in open and honest dialogue, and making conscious choices that align with our values. Ultimately, we have to remember that AI is a tool, and it's up to us, as humans, to decide how we wield that tool and shape the future we want to create.
That's a powerful reminder. As we navigate this new era of artificial intelligence, it's crucial to remember that the future isn't predetermined. It's being shaped by the choices we make every single day, both as individuals and as a society.
So let's choose wisely. Let's choose to use AI for good, to build a future where technology empowers humanity and helps create a more just and equitable world for all.
Well said. This has been a truly insightful deep dive. And I hope it's encouraged you to think critically about your own relationship with AI and its role in our world.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged in the conversation about the future of AI. And remember, the power to shape that future is in our hands.